Trey, you get real. I am real. What do you mean by getting real? Forget it. It's a joke. Is it real as a joke in your world? Yeah. So what's in the bag?
Poo poo.
Our army.
Sell at her market stand, so this would explain why she was in Seattle and Vegas to begin with. Ida being Marilyn could also explain Marilyn's strange escape. She ducks out a door into a canyon and makes off with the loot. Ida would easily be able to disappear into a canyon. She would just have to open a portal when she's out of sight in the canyon to make it seem like she disappeared. Now, this just leaves one issue. Marilyn and Ida are clearly different names. Now, Stan suspects that her name and hair are fake to cover our tracks. It's easy to see why he would assume her hair is fake. I mean, just look at it. And it makes sense she would use a fake name for this situation. But we have even more proof that Marilyn is Ida's cover name. In the Owl House episode Yesterday's Life, we see that Ida has been banned from a cafe in the human realm, and the woman working there refers to her as Marilyn. This confirms that Ida uses the name Marilyn when exploring the human realm, making it highly likely that Stan's ex could be Ida. But Vegas may not be the only place Ida has visited in the Gravity Falls world. In the Gravity Falls Lost Legends book, there are two potential signs that Ida has been there. One is Ida's staff that can be seen in a pile of sticks, and the other is a wanted poster that looks very familiar. Now, that's all the evidence I could find between Owl House and Gravity Falls in lore, but there is still more to analyze outside the shows. Now, I believe Gravity Falls was retconned to include Owl House in its lore. Gravity Falls finished in 2016 and Owl House was released in 2020, but between this time is when I believe the retcon takes place. Alex Hirsch, the creator of Gravity Falls, has been in a relationship with Dana Terrence since approximately 2015, so when Dana started conceiving the idea for Owl House, Alex Hirsch would likely be fairly involved, and while Owl House is being conceived, Gravity Falls is getting a bunch of bonus canon in the form of books and DVDs. The first book referencing Owl House is Journal 3, Falls Lost Legends book and DVD's release. Owl House at this point, so the references can be a lot more detailed. Now, I don't think this is a strong point, but I do think the timing and release of these references shows the development of the idea for a connected universe, and just how connected these shows are behind the scenes. Now, while the connections between Owl House and Gravity Falls are fairly subtle, Amphibia's connection to Gravity Falls is far less cryptic. Amphibia has an entire episode dedicated to a Gravity Falls crossover. In the episode Wax Museum, we have Amphibia's main characters end up in a parallel version of the Mystery Shack, where they meet a frog version of Grunkle Stan. So while this is a crossover with Gravity Falls, it's not actually a direct connection between the worlds, since it's not actually Stan or the real Mystery Shack. All of this is still contained in Amphibia. But this doesn't mean it can't help us find a connection between both worlds. Now, the fact that there even is a Frog Grunkle Stan opens up the possibility of a Rick and Morty-styled multiverse, with there being different versions of the same person throughout the multiverse. But I'll let Frog Zeus ask the question.
Looks like we just hit payday, Frog Zeus.
Say, Mr. Pons, do you ever get the feeling that we exist simultaneously in multiple parallel universes, completely unaware of the other's very existence?
You've been licking yourself again, Frog Zeus.
Caught me again, Mr. Pons.
Frog Zeus proposes that the same person can exist in multiple parallel universes. We as the audience have the knowledge of both shows, so we can confirm this. And if Frog Zeus' statement is true, then it would imply that the Gravity Falls universe exists in the same multiverse as Amphibia. In the crossover episode, there is a hidden message. The message is a cryptogram. It can be solved by moving each letter 3 letters down the alphabet. The message reads as, "There is a Zeus in every dimension." Now, while this is likely just a fun joke, it did get me thinking, is there a Zeus in all 3 dimensions? That would certainly help prove that all 3 shows are in the same universe. Unfortunately not. The only other Zeus I could find was in Star vs. the Forces of Evil, so this doesn't help this specific theory. So I started thinking, is there ever characters that appear on Earth, Amphibia, and the Boiling Isles? Yes, I believe I have found a character that appears in all 3. And that character is... I believe Hot Pot makes an appearance in all 3 dimensions. So I don't really need to cover that. But it still has to tell Earth where Gravity Falls would take place, so I'm willing to count this as Hot Pop's appearance in the Gravity Falls dimension. Now, the Boiling Isles was the hardest dimension to find parallel versions of characters in, so the one I found for Hop Pop is a bit of a stretch. Now, Hop Pop doesn't directly appear in the outhouse, but in the episode Escaping Expulsion, we can see a book called The Life Cycle of the Common Swamp Toad, and Hop Pop's face is plastered all over it. This book could be showing us that there is a parallel version of Hop Pop in the Boiling Isles. And if this is true, I believe that this helps reinforce the connection of all three shows existing in the same multiverse. The only other connection I could find between Amphibia and Gravity Falls is in Amphibia when on Earth, we can see some cases of merch from Gravity Falls showing up. This reinforces the idea that Amphibia's version of